So tonight I'm going to give a proper test of the Onewind Down Underquilt. And no, that doesn't mean it's from Australia. Now this thing is rated to -17, from -6 to -17. Temperatures tonight are forecast to get between -4 and -6, so this should be a good test of this quilt. It does come with a compression sack, which is, again, head comparison test. Pretty good size once it's squashed down. The weight, they claim, is 1,180 grams. But I weighed it, and it actually weighs 1,155 grams. So 25 grams less than what they state. And that's inside its compression sack. So that's a great rarity for a company, because they normally underestimate the weight of their equipment to make it look lighter. Now, before you call me out because you've seen another video, there's been some reports of this quilt weighing 1.1 ounces, which is about 34 grams. The confusion is, it says on the stuff sack 1.1 ounce, but that is the material weight per square metre. That's without any filling, and that's per square metre. So yeah, it doesn't weigh 1.1 ounces. So this underquilt has got an 800 fill power, 90% duck down. They are RDS down sourced as well, so it is all ethical. The fabric is made of a ripstop graphene. I don't really know what that is, but apparently it's very, very thin, very, very light, and very, very strong. Now, you may have seen me use this already in one of my other videos. It didn't really get a really cold test, so tonight I'm hoping to push it a bit more to the edge of its limits, at least anyway, and see if it's warm. Okay, so literally 2 minutes and the underquilt is set up. Essentially, you just attach these carabiners to the tree straps. One is silver, one is black, so if you've got each end adjusted differently for the foot end and the head end, then you know every time you put it on which is the right way around. Now, the quilt has these hooks on the outside. They don't marry up with the hooks on the actual hammock, and this is the 12-foot zippered hammock, so whether it's different with the 11-foot I'm not sure. So you can't attach it to the quilt itself, or you can't attach the hammock to the quilt. As long as you have one point of attachment, it's fine. So what I've done here is I use a bungee cord to pull the hammock out a bit, give me a bit more width inside, and I run the bungee cord through that loop and then hook it onto this hook here. Now, even if this matched up, the plastic hook is too big to go through the tiny little hook on here. You won't get it in, and if you did, you probably wouldn't get it out again. The head and the foot end, you have bungee cords, so you can tighten this up or loosen it depending upon how you feel. So I can stretch that out so it gets all around my shoulders when I'm laying inside it fully, my head, and you can tighten up the other end or vice versa. So you've got one there, you've got one here to tighten up the length, one in the middle for the length, and these two are cinch cords which tighten them together. And there's also a little, like a neck baffle. I don't know if that makes any real difference, but it would stop any wind coming through should there be a gap between you and the actual quilt itself, which realistically you should have a bit of a gap. Now this hasn't fully lofted up yet, but when it does, it is really, really thick. It's a good sort of 3 inches or more. It has full length baffles. It's not sewn through, so it is separate individual chambers that are baffled with a wall as opposed to stitched through that some quilts have. That gives you additional warmth, obviously, and that is what's going to help get you down to those lower temperatures. It also has poppers that run all the way along it, so if you want, if you're not using a midge net, bug net, you can popper this all the way up and be snug inside it. Maybe leave the head end open so you don't get too much condensation inside. So I'm going to test this out tonight in what is forecast to be between -4 and -6. Hopefully it works well. I'm pretty sure it'll be good. I'll be combining it with my Flames Creed down quilt that I've got. I've also brought my Aegis Max tiny quilt to chuck on top, because the Flames Creed is only rated to, I think it's 6 degrees, so it's not really a proper winter quilt, but doubling it up should work well. So I'll test this out tonight and I'll bring it back in the morning. Good morning. Well, the weather did what it promised. It hit -6 last night. I've got my little digital thermometer here that I had outside. It's quite good to monitor it and see what it was doing through the night. So the Onewind Underquilt, it performed well. I didn't feel warm, but I didn't feel cold. So yeah, it's done its job. I did notice a couple of times throughout the night where I was starting to get a cold part, like a shoulder, and I realised that, or my side, my hip, and I realised that the quilt wasn't fully attached at that point, because I could feel it on the outside. So it must have been doing its job, because the only time I felt cold was when it wasn't on there. So yeah, it's -6, which is the 2 levels of lower temperature that it has is -6 and -17. Now, -17, that is a major push. We'll probably never hit anything like that in this country, not on ground level anywhere where you can hammock camp. But I did have my Flames Creed quilt, it's underneath me, my Flames Creed quilt, which is only rated, I think it's rated to 2 degrees. But I also had my Aegis Max tiny wind quilt on top of that. And I was absolutely roasting, really, really warm. I do have a heated jacket, and I didn't have it on. So it was just me in my normal clothes, thermals under my trousers, t-shirt, fleece top, and my down jacket. And yeah, I was absolutely toasty warm. Had a good night. A fairly decent sleep. Just having a coffee now, enjoying the sunrise. The tree cover here has kept the temperature down a bit, or up a bit. I can see thick frost just outside on the ground outside the woodland area here. My water bottle had bits of moss frozen to it. So yeah, it definitely was cold enough to get that. But there's been no moisture really here in the woods to develop a proper frost, which is quite nice because I've got a nice dry tarp. But yeah, you can see thick white frost on the ground just outside the woodland area. So my thoughts on the down quilt from Onewind. If you haven't got a quilt, then I'd recommend it. They're not cheap, but it seems really, really decent quality. It kept me warm down to -6, and I'm pretty sure if I went below that, it wouldn't be a problem because I was not in any way, shape or form cold, and I am quite a cold sleeper. So to be honest with you, a lot of people will find it too warm. I'll put a link in the description below where you can get it. Outdoor Gear Essentials supplied this one to me, UK based company, and he does next day delivery as well. So if you do want to buy it, it's not an affiliate link, I don't get anything from it. Click a link in the description and you can get it from there. Anyway, I hope you found the video useful. If you did, hit a thumbs up, and I will see you guys on the next one.